Hi, Jonathan. George Carlin. I'm getting ready to clear out of town tomorrow night, so I just wanted to repeat to you how much I fucking enjoyed your show and how thoroughly entertaining and brilliant it is. But the opening piece, stabbing her in the head, just lovely. Just fucking lovely. And shooting her is great. Just fucking everything. I love you, man. All right, man. Thanks. Bye.
I'm all right.
If you could describe the Amazing Johnathan in one word, what would it be?
Crazy.
It's riding on the surface of my arm. It's not penetrating my arm. That would be real. This is an illusion. This is real. Look. Check it out. It's a trick.
Crazy. I mean, crazy, I think. I mean, mentally ill is 2 words, right?
Something in my eye.
Fucked up is 2 words? Guess we'll go with crazy.
You want to play this one? Come here. This is a fun game. Put this, lift up your shirt, put this down the front of your head. Okay, now, you see this? Put your head back. Okay, now you got to make this white thing fall in the funnel. And if it does, you win a bucket t-shirt.
There's so many that come to mind. I'd have to say hysterical and big-hearted.
You, sir, do you have a handkerchief? All right, do this. You got something hanging on your nose. I'm sorry, but it's really bugging me. Wipe it off.
Self-destructive? Is that 2 words? I think that's 2 words, right? Self-destructive.
His work is so original. He can pick up a piece of trash on the ground and like wave it in front of your face and make us all laugh.
Excuse me, I have something in my nose. Yeah! Okay.
He's just goofy. That's all I can say, and I love that about him.
Oh yeah, man. Look at all the hundreds. Did you win some cash? You did, didn't you? You got a big yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to point that out. All right. That was smart. Now everyone knows you got thousands of dollars in your wallet. You're walking outside where it ain't so safe. Oh, look, there's Mark. Bam! You're dead. And they're rich just by taking the money out of the back pocket there. All right.
Prop comedy was always kind of wonderful to watch, but maybe not the most respected thing. By being a magician, he had the excuse to do comedy with props, and it was kind of okay.
An old toy of mine I found in the attic. Check this out. Hey, shut up, it works. The hell's a clown? Oh. Wait a minute, there's a note. I can't take that song anymore.
Friend. To me, friend.
Eccentric entertainer whose bizarre humor and antics have made him famous all over the world. We're talking about the Amazing Johnathan.
I retired. I don't do shows anymore. I decided to go back out and do one last tour.
It's a very special evening for me tonight because I've known Johnathan for so long and seen him done so many amazing things, but I've seen him really up against it of late. And the fact that he's coming out here tonight to perform for you is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy the Amazing Johnathan Show!
It was an honor to be back on stage, you know, with Johnathan.
And to me, it probably was an honor for Joel to be on stage.
I feel great that he's going to have the opportunity to get back on stage and do what I know he loves doing and do what I know he's great at.
Johnathan going out there and just being in the moment is a particularly wonderful and beautiful thing.
Does that look all right? Palm up. Pinch your earlobe. Bend your finger and pull out.
It looks so real. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Magic is my life. What is magic to me? Haven't you seen my magic? It's everything. Magic's pulled me through a lot. I went to jail once. It saved me in jail when they all started coming at me. I showed them card tricks, you know, and that took their mind off of me being anally raped for a couple minutes. It saves me from tickets. Every bad thing, you can always get out of it by doing a stupid trick.
He was a good kid. I sent him to the magic store a lot to buy these little magic tricks. And he got very, very interested in it. And I was glad. To some extent, it kept him out of trouble.
What kind of trouble was he getting into?
Smoking a lot of pot. Not the best student, but that didn't really matter in the long run.
Well, every high school class has a class clown, the kid who will do just about anything to gross out the girls and impress the guys. One of them grew up to be called the Amazing Johnathan.
When I was in 9th grade, I did a trick where I bent a spoon for my physics teacher. It's a trick, I just do a misdirection. But he asked me, is this real? Can you really do this? Or is it just a trick? And I was really a bad student. I wasn't real popular. So I lied to him and I said, I can really do it. And he went like, wow, right? And I thought, well, that's the end of that. Next hour, I get a call here over the school intercom. Well, John Zealous, please come to the principal's office, please. And so I said, fuck. It says something to do with the fucking spoon thing, I know it. And there's my mom, my dad, the principal, and a reporter from the small little newspaper in my town. I'm like, fuck, they took my dad out of work. Then there's a bunch of spoons on the desk. We want you to bend these spoons. My mom takes me aside and she says, don't lie to me, tell me, were you lying or can you really do this? And I looked her right in the eye and I said, I can really do this.
Yeah, I was a very gullible mother.
Watch the spoon. It's a real metal spoon, and yet it will bend.
I proceed to bend all these spoons and freak them out. They're looking at me with this all new respect.
I even told my neighbors. I've never been so embarrassed in all of my life.
Already, as I concentrate, it starts to bend here.
But I had to get out of it. All the magicians are gonna bust me. If they see this come out in the paper, all the local magicians are just gonna go, he's a dick, he's lying, this is how you do it.
Just don't take your eyes off the spoon. Oh! Look, there it goes, there, look. Unbelievable.
I said to my mom, I said, listen, I don't want to be a freak in school. I just want to be a normal kid. And my mom said, I understand. And she told them, there's no story coming out. You're not going to do the story.
I felt like a fool.
But, of course it leaked. A week later, I was so popular. They gave me attention. It was like, I had the power, man. I was a horrible magician. I was the worst magician ever. But I thought I was going to be the next Copperfield. Acid will do that to you, too. I did a talent show for my high school. My family was there, my friends were there. Everybody was there to see me do the show.
Before the show, he was very upbeat because he figured he had it all down pat.
And I bombed so fucking completely bombed. Just 100% bombed. Nothing worked. 6 tricks went wrong. Guillotine went wrong. I killed a dove. The bird ran away from me and I went to chase it and it stopped and I ran over it and just smashed it with my foot.
What's this kid doing?
I fucked the levitation up. There's a sheet covering this levitation and you stand behind the floating girl and lift the sheet up. Well, behind your leg is a giant steel bar that's holding her up. They don't see it. But the sheet was up the whole time. So all the time I'm walking around, they see the steel bar. I'm pulling the supports out one and then the other side, they see the steel bar. And then I go lift the sheet up and I realize that it's already been up the whole time. I'm like, okay, fuck, I'm out. Bye, I'm done.
I was so upset for him. And all my neighbors were there.
After that night, I decided, okay, you're not going to be a great magician. Try something else.
And John left home when he was 18. I was kind of glad to see him get out of Fraser and get away from a lot of the kids he was hanging out with. And I figured it was a good experience for him.
So we hitchhiked. This is when you could still hitchhike. We hitchhiked to San Francisco, and I saw some street performers doing some magic. A. Whitney Brown was out there, Madame Flowers and Waylon Matt. A lot of great acts. And I would watch them and go, you know, I should try doing magic again, but I should try doing it with comedy like these guys are doing. Because people aren't there to see you. They're there to go shopping. You know, you'd start a show in the beginning and they would, halfway through it, they'd all wander off. And you're like, fuckers, I'm doing a show. You start again, they'd wander off. So to get their attention, you had to be good. I mean, this is during the drought, so I was like taking buckets of water and pouring them out. If you don't stop, I'm pouring all these buckets of water out. Grabbing a little kid and getting them in a headlock with a knife. And if you don't, I'll kill this kid. Just anything funny that make them stop. I was doing the razor blade trick where I swallow razor blades and then swallow thread them, bring them up all threaded. Houdini used to do it. Some guy came up to me and said, you know what, I got a blood capsule. You should do that with a blood capsule. That would be funny. And I said, give me one, I'll try it. So as I'm chewing it, I talk about how it's easy for me because I practice. And then my mouth starts turning red and I notice that I've cut my mouth, a little drool, and then just gushes, you know. You gotta start like, oh shit, I cut myself. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Oh, come on, it's just a neat little bar trick I learned to pick up the chicks. There they are.
In magic comedy, it was always magic that didn't work, or magic that wasn't really real, and there was maybe some of that in Jonathan's stuff, but mostly it was this force of nature coming at you that was like kind of this big steamroller that kept attacking you. It was very fresh.
Blindfold me. Don't worry about the knife. Okay, I cannot see, and one of her cards are in the pile. Would you mix them around, please? Actually, it was fucking there, wasn't it?
Bringing my act from the streets to the nightclubs was like, well, I was like taking a tornado, putting it in a jar, you know? And people were going like, this guy's fucking insane, you know? Which I was.
Was that your card?
He's a very good magical mind. He's actually a very good magician and has really nice ideas. You know, the best stuff that Jonathan does, it's the stuff he comes up with really just while walking on stage pretty much. He can throw together some sort of prank very, very quickly that is really of the moment.
I think I'm more of a comedian. I have more comic ability than I do magic ability, and any magician would agree with me there. Working at a strip club up in Alaska, I had to come out between every girl and do a show. It's like, you want to see some titties? First, here's a magician. That was my intro, you know? They didn't want to fucking see me, so I was dying up there. I memorized 50 insult lines, comebacks, and I was sharper than I've ever been. I got to be where they were happy seeing me, and then I knew that I was fast enough on my feet. I could handle anything. I went and did the Holy City Zoo the first night I did it. Robin Williams was there. Robin came in and did a set. Dana Carvey was there and I was there. And we were all just starting out. Paula Poundstone, Ellen DeGeneres, a lot of people that became really, really famous. We're from the same cloth, that generation of comedy, working that comedy club. Pretty good time for comedy. Clubs were springing up everywhere in the United States. I could go work as much as I wanted. I never auditioned for TV. I was always a street performer, then a club performer. They wanted 3 comics to go from San Francisco to represent San Francisco and go to the Improv for a showcase, a big showcase.
You take my clothes off and run around. This prevents streaking.
I did the showcase and destroyed it. I mean, they'd have never seen anything like that at the Improv. And one night, I got David Letterman.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Nice job.
I got Thick of the Night. I got HBO Young Comedian Special with John Candy. That did it.
Now we've got a guy named Jonathan who is absolutely amazing. Now, he started as a street performer in San Francisco working for Spirit Change. Would you please welcome the inspirational lunacy of the Amazing Johnathan.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the audience and I'm going to ask for somebody to come up and help me out. It can be anybody at all. So if you want to help me, just say something and you can come up. It can be anyone.
Can I volunteer?
Sure. Come on up. All right. Whoa, a volunteer from Poor Airplane.
And after that, that was it. I didn't have to wait long for the draw to come in. I went from, hey, aren't you that comic, to, hey, aren't you the Amazing Johnathan?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Boy, oh boy, if I had an introduction like that every time I came on stage, I'd be pissed.
This is a meat skewer. Hold your hand out. Hold it out!
Yeah? Well, what you do is you do what I've done here, is I've invented this new little ultra-thin briefcase to keep my ball in. Figure that one out.
Was that your card?
A lot of people are trying to do magic, and it's just not working anymore. You have to have something that gives you the edge. And the bloody tricks, it seems to be what they want right now.
He takes the worst parts of other magic acts and makes them actually a good part of his.
Very carefully, we place it underneath, and it restores back into one piece. Shut up, you idiots! I don't use tape, I'm a magician!
Trying to act pleasant to audience members while essentially doing something deeply unpleasant. And it crosses over into something really beautiful and really funny.
Oh, don't act like you know how it's done. Sometimes magic sounds like tape.
As Jerry Seinfeld said, all magic is, here's a quarter, now it's gone, you're a jerk, now it's back, you're an asshole, show's over. Jonathan does that even more.
For this, though, I would like the lights taken down a little bit to add to the effect. We have some strobe lights to really make this look cool. Can you take the lights down a little bit, please? Just perfect, thank you. Just turn the lights down just a bit. If you could dim them. Yeah, just like that, perfect. Just take the lights all the way down, if you could. Oh, God!
The Johnathan performance has that homemade feeling. It's good, but it's, you know, it's a little bit homemade.
We'll put these bangles right over your eyes.
He makes sure he doesn't have that polish.
I can do whatever I want to an audience member,
To trust, Andrew.
and they laugh.
Trust is an important thing. Drink it. You're a dead man. Sandra, did you put the LSD in there? Well, you should start to feel that any second now. Any second now.
And you feel it
Any second now. Any second now. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? You looked a little weird for a second there. Like you're doing drugs or something.
In the 80s, I mean, Jonathan, he was doing very, very well. Merv Griffin kind of fell in love with him, right? And so he was even hosting a game show.
I get a call from Merv going, ooh, I have an idea. You're going to be the star of my new game show. And I'm like, I'm not really a game show host material, you know? You go, oh, I based this on your show, so you're going to be perfect.
From resorts in Atlantic City, it's Ruckus! It's overwhelmingly amazing Johnathan!
Ruckus was me driving that show. It was great. It was like a groundbreaking game show. He did it in his 1,000-seat showroom, and he packed it with people, and it got a really huge underground following. They did the pilot, and it got bought, and we did it on NBC for 60 episodes.
And you got to help me out on this one. Just turn. Okay, get over here. Get over here. Okay, turn your face that way. Now, you got to just face this way. It's better if you face this way. Okay, now, brush the hair out of your eyes. Okay, perfect. Ready? Let's get the shot. And come and look this way and brush the hair out of your eyes. Okay, here we go. All right.
Is this one that you drive now?
Yeah, I drive this one. Yeah, I drive all of them. If you don't drive them, they sit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Sit.
Yeah.
And then they
contrast the brown.
When I started working with Johnathan a long time ago, I would hear about Joel Ozborn. This Joel Ozborn from Australia and like all the adventures that they went through, and Johnathan would like dare him to do all kinds of crazy things, and I'm like, wow, and he did it? Yeah, he actually did it. They were just like a team, you know, like always laughing, bantering back and forth. Kind of like brothers, but then almost like father-son as well.
Joel was the Amazing Johnathan show. He was the backbone of the show. It wouldn't go on without him.
The reason I think they came into each other's lives is because Joel had an obsession with Johnathan when he was just a kid.
Joel Ozborn was a little creepy kid who used to camp out in front of my hotel room and call me on the phone whenever he could. I didn't know who he was. He was just a little kid. But he would camp out in front of my hotel room with his friends, and then when I come out, he would have me sign stuff, and I would humor him the first time, second time. Third time, it got a little creepy.
My dad got us tickets to go see The Amazing Johnathan. I didn't know who Johnathan was. My dad drives us up to King's Cross, where all the brothels and strip clubs and late-night bars of Sydney were situated. And that's, of course, where Johnathan was putting on his first season of shows in Sydney. There was a massive poster at the entrance with The Amazing Johnathan written on it. It said the madman of American comedy, and him doing the eyebrow thing and blood coming out of his mouth. I'm thinking, wow, what's all this about? Who's this guy? It was like a freight train. It was like nothing else I'd experienced. Like, he just sucked all the energy and just released it back onto the audience. And I was like just dying throughout the show, watching this guy up there. Just like he gets a volunteer up from the audience and puts him through the ringer, and also too clocking the audience to watching Johnathan. I'd never been around and heard laughter. Not only had I laughed that hard, but hearing, you know, a few hundred people laughing that hard around me as well. It was, the energy in the room was just overwhelming. And me sitting there as a 12-year-old with a pin spot on me, just watching Johnathan on stage, thinking, that's what I want to do when I grow up. So I called up the comedy venue again, and I said, I want to find out if Johnathan's got a fan club. And he said, I don't know. He said, he's staying at the Siebel Townhouse. Give him a call.
I remember you. Yes, it was this morning. Yes, yeah, I remember.
And he said, what are you doing tomorrow night? I said, nothing. And he said, well, I got my last show. Why don't I put your name on the door? You come along. And I said, oh, can I bring my mum? And he said, yeah, sure. I'll put the tickets under your name. They'll be on the door. And I was so excited. I sent him letters, never heard back from him, nothing.
Then he got a commercial for me. His dad was an advertising exec. He called me up and said, you want to do this commercial? It pays $60,000 for one day's taping. I'm like, maybe this isn't a creepy little kid. So I went and did the taping.
Feels like I've just ate a cactus. And my nose is more congested than downtown L.A. That didn't help a bit. Hey, mate, try a new vapor drop with menthol.
I was kind of nervous to go up and talk to him, but it got to the break and everyone left. Then I go and walk off to the side of the stage and I run into someone and I apologize and looked up and there's Johnathan standing in front of me.
I said, I owe this kid, I'll show him some magic. I had kneeled down and showed him some magic on the ground. He picked it up really quick and he ended up, I liked the kid, it was really nice.
We hung out the rest of the day. Whenever he had a break, we'd go to the dressing room and chat more. And
he was a sweetheart, just, you know, he wasn't creepy at all. Until I got to his room once. And it was like an altar.
I remember at the end, he grabbed a piece of paper and just signed it, and just was writing on this piece of paper. And he says, you don't have to worry about letters anymore. Here, keep in contact. And that was the last thing. Then he took off and I looked down and it had his home phone number on there, you know? But with Johnathan, he's a big kid, you know? And we connected. It was, we were like two kids just hanging out. We had shared similar interests in things. Well, maybe not the drugs and porn, but other than that. Then one day I spoke to him and he said, listen, I met this Australian girl, her name's Sandra. I'm in love, I'm gonna marry this girl.
I'm engaged to an Australian woman. Her name is Sandra. She's actually in the audience with her parents. And I love Sandra because she reminds me a lot of myself. We get along. There she is right there. Do you see her? Yeah. That's Sandra. Show her Sandra. Hey.
He was coming out to Australia all the time. I remember the first time he called me up and said, you know, come on over to Sandra's parents' place. I'm sitting there, you know, this geeky, you know, 14-year-old kid hanging out.
My wife loved Joe. I said, come on with me, I'll give you a job and you can work for me in the States. And he wasn't old enough. He was still in school. You don't need school, quit school. Come tour with the drug addict.
Smoking a lot of pot.
When I left school, that was my first time coming to America. Johnathan said, you know, I'll take care of everything, just get on out here and, you know, I'll take care of the rest. So I was staying with him at his house in LA and he was developing a magic kit at the time. And so I was seeing the ins and outs. I'm helping him in the garage make stuff. I went on the road with him. And then at the end of the trip, he said, you know, how do you think the magic kit would go in Australia? I said, it would go great. He goes, yeah, you want to head up the company over there? Yes. So I went back to Australia and suddenly I was setting up this weird stuff magic company over there. You're coming out to Australia to do a massive season in Sydney. I'm 19 and you give me the responsibility of managing and promoting your season in Sydney. And there's a lot of money at stake here. There's a lot of, you know, I'd never done that before. And you put that responsibility forward to me.
But I knew that you would go around and do the things that needed to be done and take care, organize everything. You know, you were a very organized kid.
It was a success. The following year, he had a falling out with his manager. He said, listen, I've got no one to promote or manage my next season in Sydney. Do you want to do it? I went, yes, I do. Not knowing, once again, thrown in the deep end. It was such a responsibility because his like a 3-week season in Sydney was on my shoulders. All the shows went great. The season was a huge success. Everyone made a lot of money out of it. And at the end of it, Johnathan said to me, you want to move out to the States and be my road manager? And I went, yes, I do.
I'm right, it's Joel Ozborn. The man himself.
Here we are in the lovely garage, the working place of many hours, working in this little squabble. As you can see, it's lovely furnished by yours truly.
There he is.
Finally comes to the States. He's good. He works great. He does everything perfect. Joel's mom comes out to visit, and I get the classic Joel story.
I don't know, has Johnathan told you the stories, you know, like about... Fuck, Johnathan.
The stories are so tragic that I cried laughing.
My parents separated when I was around 4 or 5.
His mom said, you know, the divorce was very hard on Joel.
I used to draw really well. Then after my dad left, I'd just draw stick men.
For some reason, that fucking set me off laughing, and I couldn't stop. Now he just draws stick men. He's just fucking lazy now that his dad's not around. All his artistic ability gone.
And I'm like, Mom, what are you, do not tell him these stories.
And okay, but just let me tell him about Santa Claus. I'm like, yes, tell me about Santa Claus.
Went to see Santa Claus, you know. He said, you know, what do you want for Christmas?
And he said, all I want for Christmas is for my dad to come home. Oh, man, poor little kid, man.
He would die laughing.
That's the only one, he didn't get it.
The one Jonathan really loved, though, was when we're at school.
The teacher said, okay, class, who's special? And everyone's hand went up, except for little Joel. And Joel, how come your hand's not up? Why don't you think you're special? Well, if I was special, my dad wouldn't have left. It's like, Joel, get over it already. Fuck, get over it.
I don't know. I guess I'm glad someone got something out of my childhood abandonment issues.
Some of his musical tastes sucked. Billy Joel was my least favorite.
You know, Billy Joel was the first concert I saw.
Fuck, and
Jonathan would come into the garage when I was working and he'd be like, what is this shit? How can you like this guy? You know, he got arrested? And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, for loitering in front of a band. That's Billy Joel.
But Joe used to listen to him all the time. And Dancing Queen by ABBA. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I was like Joel's dad. He took care of me and I took care of Joel.
Jonathan was very giving to Joel, like with his craft too. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that really helped him as well with his career. How did you guys sustain the, how did the relationship work after, I mean, there's marriages.
I was on top. That's how it worked. He enhanced his income quite a bit from what I was paying him just by taking my stupid bets.
I remember the first bet, we're in Vons in the fresh produce department.
I said, Joe, throw these 3 tomatoes against the supermarket wall. I'll give you $200.
And I thought, okay, all right, you know.
And I see splat, splat, splat. And I see Joe comes casually walking out. More money.
So that was the beginning of basically my second income with Jonathan.
Then shaving your head was worth $1,000. He shaved his head completely bald. And I heard my wife go, oh my God, Joe, from downstairs. I went, oh, I just lost $1,000. Shit. There was a sleeping bag in Santa Monica in the road, like all mud encrusted sleeping bag.
There's the most disgusting, crusty looking sleeping bag on La Brea, just on the side of the road. And he goes, you crawl face first into that sleeping bag.
Zip the sleeping bag up to your neck, and I'll give you $200, right? That was the bet.
I made so much money from these bets over the years.
Fucking fearless. He became fearless at this point. He would do anything.
It's Amazing Johnathan.
It's a dick. It was a good threesome. Joel, my wife, and because those two loved each other and they always had laughs, and it was good for me because I didn't have to be with either one of them when I didn't want to.
Sandra will now come out here. Come out here. Because we're going to demonstrate trust. All right. Sandra, what I want you to do is, you trust me, don't you? Place the pencil in your mouth. Do not move from that spot, and you will not get hurt. Hey! Yeah! Whoa! Oh, God! Oh, God!
We got a lot of work done over those years.
Yeah, we did. We were working on props for hours. We'd work on props. And that's it, man. That's how I lived, to just write material and work on building stuff, and that was all. Much to the dismay of my ex-wife.
What is this called?
Half Nelson.
What's this called?
Full Nelson.
What's this called? Father Nelson.
I didn't know I even had a marriage problem. Because I would always say to Sandra, are you happy? Is everything okay? And she was like, Yeah, everything's great. On the way home from Vegas one time, Sandra told me that she wanted a divorce. And I'm like, what?
And I remember walking up to him at the baggage carousel, and he went, I'm out. I went, what are you talking about? He goes, Sandra, she's left. I went, what, gone back to the hotel? No, she's leaving me, but, you know, fuck it.
We got home, and her parents were staying at my house, and she started packing. I said, if you pack, you're to leave for good.
I walked down the hallway past his doorway, and I looked in, and I saw him in bed with the 57 Magnum, the one that Hunter S. Thompson had given to him. And I go, Jonathan? And he quickly takes the gun and puts it underneath the sheets. And he yells out, close the fucking door.
And I wasn't going to pull the trigger, but I just felt good to sit there with that in my mouth. Just like the drama of the situation.
Sandra's as white as a ghost, and she said, I've just got off the phone with Jonathan, and he said if I'm not in his life, he's going to end his. And then I thought, I have to tell him what I think I just saw, and I told him, everyone freaks out. They call the LAPD. I got to go warn him. His door's locked. I'm banging on the door, yelling out, Jonathan, Jonathan! And he's not answering. I ran out onto the street. Suddenly, out of nowhere, all these cops just descend on me. They've got their pistols out. Down! Get down! Down on the ground! Down on the ground!
I saw these flashlights in my living room. What the fuck is that? I bet you it's the cops. So I snorted my last bit of speed real quick. My bedroom door comes down. Boom! They kick it down and tell me, get on the ground, get on the ground. I'm on the ground. You got any drugs? I went like, not anymore. You got a gun? Nope. They went under my pillow. First place they looked, that's where it was. Oh, that one. Yeah, I got that one.
They bring Jonathan out in handcuffs. All the cops are surrounding Jonathan. Then one of them says, haven't I seen you on Comedy Central? And the other one goes, you're the Amazing Jonathan.
And I went, holy shit, I'm saved. One of the 10 people that saw my special happened to be a cop.
And then Jonathan goes, well, if I was that amazing, I could get out of these handcuffs, right? All the cops start laughing. I'm thinking, motherfucker, you know, he's working these cops.
I said I wasn't going to shoot myself. If I was going to shoot anybody, I said it'd be my wife. That's what I said, and they all laughed.
Then eventually the sergeant comes out to me and says, listen, we've spoken with Jonathan. He seems all right. And I'm like, yeah, all right.
I knew Joe was going to have to come back to face me. He knew he was going to be in trouble, so I decided to fuck with him. I took stage blood. When the cops left, I splattered it everywhere. And I put a body under the covers and a note on top of the body. And I waited, just waited.
I walk upstairs, Jonathan? The cops have rammed the door, his bedroom door down. So I look through it.
Jonathan? Jonathan? And it's poor Joel. With his voice, I could almost cry just thinking about it. He just kept rocking back and forth, going, Jonathan? So finally, he approached the body.
And there's this blood everywhere. All over the bed, up the back wall.
He saw the note, and he picked it up.
Dear Joel, I could no longer stand listening to your shitty Billy Joel music. I hope you're happy now, Jonathan.
And then I jumped out and went, ah!
He's laughing, there's blood everywhere. I'm in a state of shock. I just walked up to him and just hugged him and held him.
And he just walked out, and I didn't say, wasn't that funny? We just didn't talk about that again. Nobody said a word about it for like a week. I'd do it again the next day if he'd fall for it again. That's how it was. I knew it was over the top, but I wanted to be over the top.
If it was anyone else, it would be way too far. It would be beyond acceptable. But because it's Jonathan, what are you gonna do?
During my divorce is the time that was a strain for Joel. But he stayed there for me, despite all the shit I said to him and all the shit I said to everybody when I was going through that divorce, you know? He stuck with me. Probably saved my life through all that.
It was Jonathan and me, and he wasn't in a good way. He would smoke crack regularly in this specific corner of the room. Jim Carrey was a big fan of Jonathan's, and he gets a call one day from him and says, come and audition for this new role on a show in Living Colour. It came to the day of the audition. Jonathan gets to the front door, then looks at the corner, decides to opt out and go and smoke crack instead.
I didn't want to work at all. I just didn't want to work. And Joel got me, talked me into going back out and working again.
He was in the depths of depression. Before a show, he'd be backstage and he would just break down, sobbing next to me. And then he's introduced and, all right, let's go do this. You know, and then he'd come off and he'd just be miserable again.
I got out on antidepressants, that's right. He said, if you don't get on antidepressants, I'm leaving.
I was like, I'm done, I'm out. And I called Johnathan up and he just was really just down on the end of the phone and he said, Joel, please come home, come home. So I came home and he had a letter waiting for me. And it's the only time he ever apologized to me, just explaining where he's at and what he's going through. And how could you leave him like that? Like, you know, I'd hate to think what would have happened to him if he was left alone. By that point, Johnathan had been on the road for over 20 years, and he was over it. He was over the airports, over the grind of touring. We had done a few runs in Vegas before, like at the Sahara.
2 weeks would stretch into 2 months because we were doing killer business from Comedy Central specials. We were filling it up.
He got new management, Gary Proper, and he said to Johnathan, what do you want? And he said, I don't want to be on the road anymore. I don't want to travel anymore. And Gary said, well, Vegas.
We got Vegas. They offered us 2 weeks at the Golden Nugget, fill in for David Brenner while he was on vacation.
There it is, the Nugget.
Which at first thought is like, hang on, downtown, Golden Nugget, like, you know, it's kind of going backwards, is it?
Well, when Johnathan went downtown, it was just when downtown Vegas was starting to have some sort of cachet. There was a reason to go down there. I mean, he was pulling people down there that had never been down there before.
Well, you're here on a good night. We're going to start with a magic trick. Do you have a handkerchief, sir? Do this.
And that 2 weeks we sold out every night, and they didn't want David Brenner back. But I said, you gotta have David Brenner. I'm not gonna do that to David Brenner. So they created a 10 o'clock time slot for me. And we sold out every night, probably for a year and a half. We sold 500 seats a night.
Number one, for the free shirt. How many animals of each did Moses take on the ark? 2. None, because it was Noah, not Moses, sorry.
And the Golden Nugget, we changed their demographic from an old folks home to kids coming in and gambling again. We did a lot for that casino. They treated us like kings. I mean, Joel got his own room, I got my own room, Penny, everybody got their own room, I got a suite. We signed for everything we did, we didn't have to pay for anything.
He was killing it, you know, like he was like packing out a casino every night. He had a girlfriend. He was, you know, living in the Scarface suite in the Nugget.
I was living on my merchandise money and putting a check for 40, 50 grand in the bank every week, man.
We're gonna set up the merchandise. We got 3 lots of merchandise, and we got large shirts, Johnathan's Weird Stuff Magic Kit. Got another few videos. Then we got enough headbands. We got the books here.
My paychecks were just like, holy shit, are you serious? It was going. I'd use those stubs to dry my tears now when I look at them. I cry when I look at those stubs. Every week for almost 2 years.
We would sign things after the shows. One person, they came up and they go, my brother had cancer and right before he died, he came to see your show. I never saw him laugh that much, and thank you for doing that for him.
Spell pop. P-O-P. Top. T-O-P. Pop. M-O-P. What do you do when you come to a green light? S-T-O-P. No, you go at a green light. You're at a green light, you go. Come on.
I think in terms of practical jokes, you know, and more I do that. So that's why I'm rigging my entire house to be a big practical joke. Ooh. That spider was in my yard.
That's a real spider.
That's a real spider.
Oh, God! You! Oh, my God!
It was great. It was the best time of my life. That was it.
Can you remember this for me?
Nah, mate.
Tape it. Look at me. You got it on tape. George DeLucchi.
Nah, mate.
Nah, come on. George DeLucchi, November 7th, wants to see the show, and just for one person.
I was wanting to do my own thing, but working for Johnathan was a 24/7 existence. I wanted to do comedy. I wanted to be a comedian, you know?
Then I started seeing him watch the comics, you know, from back. It's like, something's gonna happen here. He ain't gonna be around very much longer, you know.
I'd done everything I could with Johnathan. We'd been through everything. We'd toured all over America. We'd done the casino run. You know, I'd seen a new city every week, and I knew he's fine. I need to go and do this. It's time. Johnathan did street performing, so I thought that's what I'm gonna do.
He had high aspirations right from the start. Nothing was gonna stop him, nothing. That kind of drive in somebody makes me sick. But yeah, it was time for Joe to go. He's living under my shadow.
In the Carson Cafe at the Golden Nugget, he said something or other, and my retort to it was, well, maybe I should just go and do my own thing then. And he said, maybe. And I knew, all right, this is it. That was that. And I left and moved back to Australia.
From the first show I ever seen him do, he was good. He was doing props, so I got to help him with that. Then he decided he didn't want to do props. He was too good to do props. Anyway, you stand up. Like there's not enough of those in the fucking world.
I had planned on being in Vegas for 3 months, and that's it. And then going back to Toronto and being able to charge more money for performing because I could say, ooh, I performed in Vegas. But it didn't happen that way. Nailed it. I watched Johnathan's show and almost peed myself. He made me laugh a lot. And I actually met him, and we hung out, and he basically was putting on all the charms. He told me he was going to make me his wife that night and told me that he loved me. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
1, 2, 3,
go! My friends that I was staying with are like, dude, where are you? Like, are you okay? This is Vegas and you vanished. I'm like, yeah, I'm living with Amazing Johnathan now. We got married June 14th, 3 years ago. And was it the 14th? Oh my God. See, it might be the 7th, and those 2 dates stick in my head. I think 14th is my daughter's birthday. I get those two confused a lot.
So talk about drugs briefly. When did you...
Briefly, that's all we've been talking about. Which is briefly shit. Let's go do some drugs briefly and come back and talk about something else.
You know, it's a tough subject. I'm really anti-drugs. I've never seen cocaine in my life, believe it or not. You know, but even knowing that, he would kind of talk about it, and he'd say, "Go, it's great, fantastic."
I've been doing drugs since I was 16 years old, man. I started doing drugs.
Smoking a lot of pot.
Then I did a hit of mescaline, and then I did acid. And I just tried them all, everything but heroin, all throughout my life. I would do it on stage, and people wouldn't even know it. They say, it's time for some magic dust. And I would do it like, and people go, oh, that's so funny. He pretended like he snorted coke. Wrong. He snorted coke.
I don't know when he's on it. I truly do not.
You know, I'm of the mindset, the Dean Martin mindset, that even if you're doing drinking jokes in the show, you're not really a drunk, you know. I think it would have been okay for him to, you know, snort that whole bucket of white material without having to really do it.
But I'm in good company. All my heroes were drug addicts. John Lennon, all the best of the Beatles did drugs, and Eric Clapton did drugs, and just about every successful rock band that was great did drugs. Because all in all, it makes you creative. Now, let's look at the list of people who don't do drugs. There's Richard Marx. There's Kenny G. Now, I'm not trying to promote drugs, but who would you rather hang out with? Seriously.
My feeling is that Johnathan is about 50% of what he could be. If he'd been sober his whole life, I can't think of one moment I've heard from Johnathan that I don't think would have been better without the drugs.
I've heard other comedians say without drugs they could not be as funny as they were Whether that's true or not, I haven't got a clue.
My thing is that I may think that Jonathan's better than Jonathan thinks he is, because I think that Jonathan without drugs would have been really, really amazing.
I wish that wasn't part of his life, you know. I really wish. It does have an effect. It has to have an effect, you know.
There was a point where some of the shows I could tell he was like getting tired and like hard to breathe.
And he was having trouble, like like walking and breathing. Two things that, you know, it's pretty clear something's wrong.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, I'm the Amazing Johnathan, and I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And oh, wait a minute, wait. What night is this? I've done a lot in my life, and then 13 years in Las Vegas. I had a great time. The greatest time of my entire life has been here, and I've made millions of dollars. I have 2 beautiful houses, and everything came crashing. Down when I was told I had a year to live. It's not a joke. So, I'm dealing with that right now. I promised I wasn't going to cry, but it's very scary. And my heart is failing. My wife would have said it failed long ago, but it does actually failing for real. I can't do shows anymore because my legs lock up and my hands lock up, and that's kind of shitty for a magician. But anyway, I retired. I don't do shows anymore. I did my last shows at the Magic Castle. I got my affairs in order, and that's it. Thank you all very much for coming out. Peace. I'll see you on the other side.
He told me about his health condition, and you know, honestly, you want to be at first affected by it, but it's kind of the Andy Kaufman thing. You don't really believe it at first with Jonathan. You know, you think it's maybe just a whole ploy of his. You know, I still hope in my heart that it's just he's just kidding about it.
The first 3 times I heard Jonathan was dying, did not even consider it. Next 3 times I heard Jonathan was dying, I started to believe it. Maybe the 7th time I heard Jonathan was dying, I was sincerely upset. 8th, 9th, 10th time, kind of somber and upset. 15th time, I don't think I care anymore. I think he's lost. I think I maybe have got all my mourning out of the way. I can just enjoy Jonathan now. When he does croak, it'll just be okay. So he's dead now.
When Jonathan got his diagnosis, his doctor had me in the room and he said, I need to talk to you for a second and I want you to see this. And he pulls up a video of Jonathan's heart, like an actual video, and it looked like a giant rock with just the top little bit like this flipping, like going plip, plip, plip. And I said, well, that's weird. Is that what a heart does? And he goes, no, actually the whole heart's supposed to go plip, 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 and tried to describe it to me. And so that was the first time I really understood how fucked up he really was. I met Jonathan before he was sick. Technically though, I didn't, because he was sick. He just didn't tell me or let me know about it. Because as someone who's dating, why would you tell someone that you just start dating that you're sick, that you have cardiomyopathy, that you have diabetes and you don't control it? So it was literally like 2 weeks into dating him where I found insulin needles and insulin, and I was like, what's this? What? And he goes, oh, I'm diabetic. Are you shitting me? I've never seen you shoot insulin ever. Oh, it's because I don't bother. Then I find all these pill bottles and I'm like, what? This hasn't been refilled. Are you supposed to be taking these? Yeah, but I don't take those. Oh my God, you're gonna be taking these pills now and you're gonna be taking your insulin. Who's your doctor? You know, like that's when I started prying into his health because like he was not looking after it.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Hi, this is Anastasia Kenyon calling about Jonathan's insulin. Again, can you call me? It's imperative that I get this today because if I don't, he's going to be gone for 2 weeks without insulin. And Julian should have called this in yesterday. Thank you.
You need some pills.
Stop. Oh my God.
I need pills.
I'm gonna give you the back of my hand.
Up my butt.
So basically after that, he had someone to grill him, remind him to take his pills, remind him to take his insulin, fill his pill box, make sure he's taking it. And then he was in the ICU for 10 days, and that really knocked some sense into him. They were like, you can't stop taking your pills, Jonathan. You're on all of these for a reason. Well, I'm sick of taking them. Well, tough shit, dude. Like, come on. You've got pills that are keeping you alive. Take them.
Gosh, I can't even keep track of how many. I just dump them because I have a memory of what they look like and where they go. So, potassium chloride, this has to be taken with furosemide. Metformin, Lyrica, that's the furosemide. Carvedilol, simvastatin, he's on another losartan. Clopidogrel, fenofibrate, levothyroxine, spironolactone, and aspirin. Lisinopril, or tamsulosin, digoxin, that is for the heart, sertraline, that's the antidepressant. Yeah, lots of pills. Omeprazole, this is the funny pill because this is the pill that he has to take so he doesn't get sick from all the other pills.
So this lady, she's running towards me, long blonde hair, she's from Finland. And keep in mind, I'd just been on stage as Joel Ozborn the whole time. I get off stage, she's running towards me going, oh, it's you. I'm like, yeah, it's me, no big deal, no word of a lie. She runs straight up to me and goes, can I get a photo with you, Eric Bana? I just went, yeah, all right. Mid-photo, swear to God, she turns to me and goes, I just loved you in Wolverine. So I'm left standing in this photo thinking, like, only she's mistaken me for Eric Bana. She's mistaken Eric Bana for Hugh Jackman.
So when I heard about Jonathan's condition, what he was going through, I came out to the States and stayed with him in Vegas here. Just seeing the difference in Jonathan, in terms of the vulnerability that he would show and allow to come forth, and we connected really well during that time. You know, hanging out and just having these open conversations. And he just looked so fragile, you know, and I was seeing him in this light of, because Jonathan's always been this big, dominating, you know, larger than life, strong character. And he was kind of hunched over, but he was just standing by the door, and my heart really went out to him, just thinking, he just looks, yeah, just, the weight of the world was on him and he wasn't, you know, just this fragility to him. And I walked up to him and I didn't say anything, just stood in front of him, and he just put his arms out and just wrapped his arms around me and just hugged me and said, I love you, Joel.
None of the things I own, the 25 classic cars and all the stuff I thought was so fucking cool means nothing to me now. In fact, if you want one, talk to me after the show.
There's not a minute that goes by that it doesn't come into your head. You go on crying jags, you cry in the middle of the night, you start crying and you can't stop.
He gets sick, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be right there by his side because you love him regardless. You're not gonna let him be alone.
Yeah, well, don't have me fucking up your ass then. All right.
So you're leaving tomorrow for, and when are you coming back?
4 o'clock in the morning.
The 20th.
So you'll be gone for about 2 weeks. Okay.
And he's healthier. He's not, you know.
I am passing out though, still.
That's just a heart thing, though. I don't think it's from your blood infection.
Yeah, that actually looks a lot better than it did before.
Like, I'm gonna pay you cash from now on?
Yeah.
All right? My wallet! What the heck? I was told that I had an expiration date, so I stopped working and concentrated on it, just getting better.
Put this up.
You fix it. Do it long-wise.
Oh, look what happened! Wow, what did you do? Put acid on your foot already? It's never a dull moment with you. That is for shit sure.
I can't jerk off anymore. I can almost do it. When I stopped working, I didn't know how much people really liked you, and until you stop working, then you know. Everyone comes out of the woodwork to say, you know, how much the show meant to them, and that's great to hear. I needed to hear that. I feel good enough to work again, and I never really wanted to stop working.
Good luck on your trip. All right, man.
Thank
I'll see
you.
you back in a few weeks.
All right. I need to prove that I can still go out there and do it. First of all, I don't know if I can, because I don't know if I have the stamina to do it.
I can feel you breathing on my back. Thank you.
Trick entertainer whose bizarre humor and antics have made him famous all over the world. We're talking about the Amazing Johnathan. He is here with me in studio because he's in town.
That's my straw. That's a pencil. That's not a straw. All right. Well, yeah, I was given 1.5 years to live by my doctors, and so I got all prepared, and then 3 years later, here I am.
Here
so
you are.
I got tired of waiting around for it. I decided to go back out and do one last tour, which is what I'm doing now.
The type of comedy and magic he does is very, very, you know, consuming of energy, and I could see where that could be a problem, but I hope he can judge it and kind of balance it out.
Man, if he drops dead on stage, that'd probably be like the coolest way to go out. That's probably the way he'd want to go out. You know, not in some bed with an IV, blah, 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 blah. I mean, he'd want to go out entertaining, man. So I think he needs to. I think it's a great idea.
To be honest, I think it's healthy because I think it's a positive thing that makes him happy. I find that when he's on stage and he's doing it, he's just like nothing else exists, and I can see that.
I think it's a fabulous idea because he's so funny, and it's like, oh, it irks me to see him retired. No.
I've heard a lot of people talk about how much energy it'll take Johnathan to go out and do these shows, and how maybe he should be resting. It never crosses my mind. I think what Johnathan should be doing is performing. I think, you know, Tiny Tim died on stage doing Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I intend to die in office. The fact that Johnathan is weak and feeble, I don't think should stop him at all.
It's hard for me to talk about. I'm just happy that he's lasted this long, to be truthful with you.
I feel great that he's going to have the opportunity to get back on stage and do what I know he loves doing and do what I know he's great at. But that, for me, though, comes with a lot of worry and concern.
My thoughts are that it's not going to work. Dizzy when I stand up. Pass out dizzy. Yeah, I passed out twice yesterday. I passed out. I haven't passed out in about 1 year. And yesterday, it was a slow pass out. It wasn't like I'm pumping gas like last time and I wake up on the ground. Anna caught me as I was falling, her being very strong.
For me, the best case scenario is just seeing him walk on stage and having the strength to do that. The fact that he's just doing it is, you know, for me, that's the accomplishment.
Joel, I wanted to write letters to each other, and I know you wanted to do it too. So go ahead. I'm ready for this. Just don't make me cry.
No, it'll be all right. Dear Johnathan, where to begin? Well, at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, right there.
Little did I know all those years ago, as a 12-year-old, the night my dad took me to see your show,
that my life would never be the same again. Seeing you take the stage like a freight train that night was like nothing I'd ever experienced. And I know I wanted to be part of that world. I wanted on board. Not knowing where that train was headed was part of the adventure. And I can honestly say I never could have predicted the different destinations I'd experienced with you over the years. I wanted to talk about the man I've come to know throughout my life. Not the amazing Johnathan, but the man I know, Johnathan Zealous. Behind all the crazy, drug-taking, manic bravado, I see something deeper inside of you. I see the kind, generous, big-hearted, caring person I know you to be. It's great to be back on the train with you for one last ride, my friend. I love you, Joel.
That's nice, man. Thank you.
I mean it, mate.
I'm glad. So, I can read this. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, John.
You're crying. I'm gonna make you really cry with this one. This one's gonna get you. But I want you to read the first part.
Dear Joel, and I mean not Billy, not the piano man who is really silly.
All right.
You and I have accomplished a lot together. We have made millions of people happy. At the same time, we made each other happy. There's only one thing that feels as good as being with your hero, and that is having your hero respect you as an equal. I consider you an amazing performer who charmed an audience brilliantly. At times you were put through the ringer with me. Nobody skips that. But you learn quickly. And you learn while having heaps of fun too. We both learned from each other, and I took away your ability to be patient and treat people right, watching how you deal with people, and kept the brand strong.
You've not gotten jaded in any sense of the form by this business, and you're still the sweet kid that you were when you were a sweet kid. And watching that, and watching you do comedy, and just makes me proud like I was your dad. But unlike your dad, I'll always be there for you. So I love you.
Thanks, John. I love you too, man.
Yeah. Oh.
Like you are in the audience, looking up thinking, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And the man who's coming to the stage was that guy that I saw on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we can now sit back, relax, and enjoy the Amazing Johnathan show.
Round of applause for Joel Ozborn.
I can't see if you want to read. What? He's black. No! Just say it. Oh my God, no!
Come on out here. Yeah, I just want to. This guy, I met him when he was 12 years old. He was just a little kid. And now he's doing stand-up. That's amazing. He used to just watch and just learn. He was taking everything in. I didn't know that. I thought you were going to be competition. Get the fuck off. I love you too. All right.
I want them to leave thinking that's the best show that they've ever seen, and it is. I'd say 90% of the people that come see the show will leave saying that is the most we have ever laughed in our lives. Not just this week or not just this month, but ever.
Just appreciate it and thank him for all the laughs, and just glad I got to see him.
Well, I've never got to see him before, but I'm a huge fan. He helped inspire me to be a street performer.
And I grew up watching him on World's Greatest Magic a long time ago, and he did not disappoint.
I know that you're big about science, but science is so limited because it's only within the realm of what we as humans understand, and what we as humans
what we don't
understand
understand, we make up and call religion.
No, but then to say that the possibility is definitely not there, I can't say that.
Well, I can.
Because, here's the equivalent, Jonathan, and this has been proven. The equivalent to what we know about the universe out there is the equivalent to a glass of water out of the ocean.
But that's science, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, but science only knows what's in this glass. There is a whole ocean out there that we don't know about. Because to say that everything
where
out there...
does God come into that? My grandma used to say to me, I don't see why anyone thinks you're funny. I don't get it. I don't get it. I love that. I love that. She got sick gradually and died. Some tea, Grandma?